Okay. Now another part is how we solve the problem graphically. Graphically, how calculate the mode. So earlier we understand how to calculate the median value graphically. To calculate the median value graphically, what we have done here? We simply plot the cumulative frequency. If it is like this, we simply plot the cumulative frequency and take the n minus n by 2 level. So if it is our frequency, that means we just simply position the n by 2 position in the curve and draw the perpendicular. If it is in horizontal level or if it is in vertical level. So wherever it is, so we can easily identify the position and value for the median. Okay. The same thing here. We have to decide which graph to use, whether histogram or bar chart. Okay. Now it depends on our data type. Okay, so if you have the group data, that means continuous set of data, then we'll have to use bar chart. Okay, bar chart, no, not bar chart, histogram. Continuous data, histogram we have to use. Okay, so now simply plot the histogram. In histogram, we can easily identify the class which has the maximum frequency. We can identify this one. Can you identify this one, guys? Are you getting my point? What I am trying to say?
Yes, we can.
We have this data set and we have just drawn the histogram here. Okay. What next we have to do here to calculate the mode value from the graph? We will have to identify the model class first, and with the top right corner of the model class, this is top right corner of the model class, will be connected with the top right corner of the class preceding to the model class. This is preceding class. Okay, top right corner of the class preceding to the model class. Again, we'll have to identify the top left corner of the model class, and it will be connected with the top left corner of the class succeeding the model class. Okay, and we'll have to join them using straight line. The point they cross each other, from this point we'll have to draw the perpendicular on the axis, whether it is vertical axis or horizontal axis. We'll have to draw the perpendicular. At the point where this particular perpendicular touches will be the mode position. Clear?
Yes, sir.
The point where it touch will be the mode position. Everyone got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we have discussed mean, median and mode. Let's see the relation. Okay. So if we have the value for mean equals to median equals to mode, that means our distribution is symmetrical. Symmetrical, okay? Now, if our distribution is right skewed means most of the data is located at the left side of the data points, and the tail of the distribution will be longer on the right side. Tail on the distribution will be longer on the right side. So it is right skewed. Okay. So if our data is right skewed, in that case, if this is our origin position, then look from here, mode is lesser than median and median is lesser than mean. So relation in that case is this one. Mean is greater than median, then median is greater than mode. This is the relation. Okay. If our data point is left skewed. If our data point is right skewed, if our data point is left skewed, that means the tail of the distribution on the left side will be longer than right side. Okay. So in that case, again, if we start with the 0 here, that means mode is higher. This is mode position. Mode is higher than median and median is higher than mean. This is the relation. Mode is higher than median and median is higher than mean. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
So in this case, mean, median and mode, there is very simple relation, everything is equal. But on other cases, whether it is left skewed or right skewed, there is a relation between mean, median and mode. And here is the relation. Mean minus mode equals to 3 into mean minus median. So if we simplify this one, it will form this relation. Is that clear, guys? Is that clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
After that, we have the dispersion. Dispersion basically, we understand that from this graph, if we start with this position, these two graphs are looking similar, right?
Yes, sir.
Looking
Yes,
similar,
sir.
everything is same. But if we start with the 0 here, that means the mean for this graph and mean for this graph will be different. Although they are look similar, they are all other things. Median, mode is similar, but mean will be different here. Okay, because their position from the origin is different. Okay, look at this curve again. Mean is same, but in that case, median, mode will be different. So with the simple mean, median, mode, we are not going to represent our data completely. To get the complete information regarding data, we'll have to get the spread of the data also. Okay, so to what extent the data is spread from our, look here, this particular set, mean position is this one. Okay, if we consider this curve, our data point is spread from this point to this point. Okay, and if we consider this one, our data point is spreading from this point to this point. So for both the cases, mean value is same here. Okay, for both the car, mean value is same, but data point is data dispersion is different. So if we are talking about 50%, 10 to I hope you must observe the sell, okay, up to 10% off, okay, up to 10% off, we may have observed this one, okay, up to 10% off. So what does it mean? If we consider this 0 to 10% off, and we can consider this one as 5 to 7% off. So which one is more effective? Which one is more bring more information? Guys, we have two range. One is 0 to 10% off. In you visited a supermarket or any mall, and you observe that. Listen carefully, okay? You observe that there is discount ranges 0 to 50%, up to 50% off. Okay, and somewhere first it is mentioned for, if we consider the same product, okay, somewhere it is mentioned that 20 to 30% off. Which one is more effective?
0 to 50.
0 to 50.
0 to 50 more effective.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Everyone agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now look. So if we move with this particular case, look, you may get 0% off, you may get 50% off. Chances there?
Yes, sir.
Sir, yes.
Yes, sir.
So there is chance that you may get no off or you may get 50% off. You may get in between also. But if we talk about this one, you should get at least 20% off. You should get at least 20% off, at most 30%. So you must be sure about this off. So if we move with this, you must get 20% off. So which one will be more effective?
20 to 30.
20 to
20
30.
to 30. That's why spreading is more important. So if we consider this one is 0 to 50% and giving the same mean, and 20 to 30%, it will also give the mean value. For both the cases, mean value is same, but spreading is different. Okay, so that's why. So if we move with this one, we must be sure that we must at least we must have 20% off. But in this case, if we are highly pessimistic, that means we may get 0. There is no off. Okay, so this will be effective. So dispersion, this is dispersion. So from the target point, how we differ, this is known as dispersion. Target से हम कितना दूर जा रहे हैं, वो dispersion होता है. Okay, so if our data set is spread with a long area, that means our dispersion is more and we may lose our target. So it is not very good in every time, but if we have this dispersion more closer to the target point, it is more expected. It is very consistent also. So in this way it is. But if we move in this way, now look here, this curve, this is thickness, this is different with the other curve. Okay, so on either side we have to observe the dispersion of the measure. So in this way, we have this separate measure for dispersion. In this way, we have this separate measure for dispersion. So we will discuss one by one. Okay. So we have multiple measures. Look, we have. So there is some reason why you learn this dispersion. I have already explained you. So you just read this one. I'm not discussing. Okay. So look here. We have the various measure for dispersion. So various common measure is maybe algebraic or maybe graphical. In graphical, we have the Lorentz curve. So it is not in our syllabus. Okay. So it is beyond our syllabus. So we will discuss only algebraic solution. It may be absolute, may be relative, but both depends on whether it is absolute or relative. It depends on distance measure or average deviations. So based on this, we may have range, interquartile deviation. We have already discussed interquartile. Okay, mean absolute deviation and standard deviation. So we will discuss this four one by one. Okay, so I think time is for this session. Okay, we will discuss in the next session this part. Okay, we have already discussed this one. One is range and coefficient. It measures the distance, and again interquartile range also decide the position or distance basically. Okay, and in another way, average deviation considers the mean absolute deviation or square deviation, whatever it is, and standard deviation and its coefficient. So we will discuss one by one. So very first one is range. Okay, so what do we mean by range? Can anyone tell me what is your understanding about range? Anyone?
Sir, upper bound minus the lower bound. Largest value minus the
Upper
least
bound
value.
minus lower bound in any group, it is the width of the group, right? Then what is the range? Data spreading range. Range means the minimum value to maximum value. This is the range. Highest value to lowest value. Okay, if we consider this 0 to 100, that means the range is 0 to 100, where lowest value is 0, highest value is 100. So range is this one. This is the range. Okay, so how we compute the range here? Range is highest value minus lower value, lowest value. That means 100 minus 0 will be 100. So range is 100 here. Is that clear? This is very simple. Nothing is there. Only we have to compute the distance between lowest value to highest value. This is the range. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So look at this point here. Range is defined as the difference between highest value and lowest value in the observation. Okay? If the average of the two distributions are almost same, then distribution with smaller range is said to have the less dispersions. I have already taken the example 0% to 50%, up to 50% off, and 20% to 30% off. Which one is better? Okay, so this is, look here, this in this first case we have the range of 50, but in this case our range is 10. So maximum data will be within this 10 distance only, and in this case it is spread over 50 distance. So lesser value range indicates more consistent data. We have already observed this one, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you listening to me, everyone?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
this is our range. Okay, so formula here is the formula for range: highest value of an observations minus lowest value. Okay, so if we consider this one is, then 50 minus 0 will be the range. Okay, another part is, look at this example here. So to identify the range, what we have to do, we have the best way, we have to arrange this in ascending order or descending order and find out the lowest value or highest value. So in this particular case, what is the lowest value here? If
2.
we consider this one,
Not 2,
lowest value is 2, and what is highest value?
9,
9.
9.
9. So what will be the range here?
7.
9 minus 2?
7.
7.
7, sir.
So it is very simple. Okay. Now, this is our range 7. So another part is coefficient of range. What is coefficient of range? Coefficient of range is the range divided by the highest value plus lowest value. So in this case, we have this 7 divided by 9 plus 2
11.
is 11. So 7 by 11 will be the coefficient range. Remember one thing, coefficient, wherever you heard the term coefficient, it should be either 1 or less than 1, not more than 1. Coefficient never become more than 1, okay? Okay, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is our range, very basic level, and there is nothing. So this is another example here. Okay, if we have the this one, where we use range, the knowledge of range is useful of study the small variation among the data. Small variations means, take the same example, 0 to 50% discount or 20 to 30% discount. So if we have this particular case, so we can easily decide which one is better. So the more data concentrate to the center point will be more valuable, okay, more consistent. So that's why range is useful here to decide our data consistency. Another one is range is widely used for statistical quality control. This is basically a quality control tool where we decide a range in between this. If our product quality will be falling, then it is okay, otherwise we will reject the product, okay? So just remember the term that it will be used for statistical quality control also. It can be used for forecasting also, weather forecasting. Today's temperature is 17 degree to 29 degree is varying in this between range. So it just keep a range. Rainfall 280 centimeter to 300 centimeter like this. So we can use range in this way. Okay. Our next measure is quartile deviation. We have already discussed quartile deviation. Now I want to listen from you what you understand from this quartile deviation. We have already discussed. Yes, anyone? Are you listening to me, guys?
You are dividing the data into 4 different parts.
Yes, divided the data into 4 different parts. Very good. Any other insights?
N by 4, N by 2, 3 by 4 and N.
Yes.
Half of the difference.
Yes, so basically, quartile deviation means we will have to divide the data into 4 different parts. So what is the rule here? If our data is in discrete nature, that means 25% if we consider this one. So this is your median value. 50% of the data will be on the upper side and 50% will be on the left side. So this is again quartile deviation, again is a position like percentile, okay? Then again we have to divide this into two parts, so this will be 25%, okay, 25, and again in this way we can divide this to this will be 75. So basically we have 3 different quartile. This is first quartile, okay, this is second quartile, this particular point only, okay, second quartile, this is first quartile, second quartile, and this is third quartile. Now what is quartile deviation here? Quartile deviation is the difference between these quartile, okay? This is first and this is third quartile, range in the third quartile. So quartile deviation is the range between first quartile to third quartile, okay? So quartile range, we can say this as a quartile range, interquartile range, okay? So interquartile range is, this is third quartile minus first quartile. And if we talk about the quartile deviation, then we'll have to take the we'll have to divide this into 2, okay? That means if we divide this by 2, then it will define the quartile deviation. So this is the concept here, quartile deviation. Now question is how to decide the quartile, how to decide the data quartile. So I have already explained the quartile deviation. So here what we have to do, if our data is discrete nature, then we can easily divide the data into 4 parts. Otherwise, if our data is in continuous, then we'll have to apply this formula, L plus
I into N by 4.
N by 2 minus CF by F into H. We have to apply this particular formula to identify the quartile position, okay? So it is for the median position, okay? Now if we are talking about quartile, then we'll have to replace this 2 with 4 and multiply this with 1, 2 or 3 wherever we want. So if we are concerned about finding the first quartile, then it will be 1. If it is third quartile, then it will be 3n by 4. Other thing is same, right? Let's see with an example. Okay, this is the case. Now, this is the range, interquartile range. So these are two quartile. This is first quartile, this is second quartile, and this is third quartile. So we have three quartile, and the range between this quartile is defined as the interquartile range. Okay, if we take the difference by 2, then it will be the quartile deviation. And if we talk about the coefficient, then it will be again same thing, like maximum value minus minimum value divided by maximum plus minimum. In this case also the same thing. Coefficient is the difference range divided by first quartile plus third quartile. Let's see with an example here. Okay, this is an example. In this example, we have 55 data points. So we will have to calculate the quartile deviation, interquartile range, quartile deviation, and coefficient of quartile deviation. Okay, so how we calculate this one? So this is 55. That means we have to divide this 55 plus 1. Middle position we can identify, right? 55 plus 1 by 2. That means 28, right? So 28 position will be our median position. Are you getting my point? Now count 28. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 22, 25, 23, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is our median position. Okay? Are you getting my point? This is our median position.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Now, what next? We will have to identify the median of this. So up to this point, this is our median position. Up to this point, how much data point is there? This is 28. So again, in this way, there is 27 is there. So 27 plus 1. Okay, 27 plus 1 by 2. Again, give the median position because 27 again odd. Okay, by 2, that means 14. Okay, so 14th position will be the first quartile position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 12, 13, 14. So this is our first quartile position. Okay. Similarly, so third quartile will be 14 from this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is again for third quartile position. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So what I have done here, just identified the median position. From median positions, I just divided the data part into two parts. Okay. On each part, again we identified the median position. Okay. So this is the 28th position. We have 55 data points. That means 28th position will be the median value. Again, on 28 positions, either side there is 27 data points. That means 14 again will be the median value for the two different parts. So if we done this one, then this one will be our first quartile, this one will be our second quartile, and this one will be our third quartile value. Okay, third quartile value. So if we are concerned about computing the value for the quartile interquartile range, that means the highest Q3 is 120. Interquartile range will be Q3 is 120 minus Q1, which is 94. So this is our interquartile range. Okay. So how much it will be? 26. Okay. Now another one is quartile deviation. How we calculate the quartile deviation here? Quartile deviation is this one, 26 divided by 2.
240.
26 divided by 2. That means 13 will be the quartile deviation. And if we are concerned about coefficient of deviation, quartile deviation, that means quartile deviation is 26 divided by
214.
214. Good, very good. So this is the case we have identified here. Now interpretation. Look at the interpretation here. Go back to the previous slide. What is here? Quartile deviation is primarily concerned about the middle 50% data. From 0 to this is 50%. And from this point to this is again 50%. So quartile deviation is primarily concerned about the middle 50% data. So where we are mostly about to release or remove the outliers from our data points. Okay. So this is the concept of quartile deviation. So now tell me if there is any query in this. Is there any query? Do you have anyone in quartile deviation? Anyone? No one? Are you listening to me, guys?
Yes, sir.
So it is clear, right? Quartile deviation.
Yes, sir.
So this is the case for ungrouped data. So if we have the group data, we can do the same thing. We have to apply the same. First, calculate the cumulative frequency and then identify the quartile positions. First quartile, second quartile, third quartile, and take the different measures. So this will be your homework. Okay. In case of, I already explained how to decide the different quartile position. So you just apply this formula. L plus I n by 4 divide minus CF, okay, divided by F into H. So you have to apply this formula. Oh, sorry, this is F into H, and you can get the different quartiles: first quartile, second quartile, and third quartile. And you have to.
Sir, in the
solve
previous one, they gave 55, no? Like,
Yes.
total number was 55
Total number 55. Yes.
in the previous one.
Yes. This one.
Yes, sir.
Total number is 55. It is given here. Okay.
In the next one, it's not given.
Then this is discrete data series.
Ah, okay. Got it, got it.
But if our group data series is there, this is group data, right? So in group data, you can solve the quartile positions, right? First quartile, second quartile, third quartile. This is
Yes.
the formula we have to use, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me, is that clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this will be your homework, okay? Now, our next part is this one, and this is one problem, this is another problem. I will share this one. You just practice this one. If there is any issue with quartile deviation, I'll get back to you in the next class, okay? Next one is mean deviation. Basically, what we have to compute is, first we have to calculate the mean, and we'll have to take the measure at what distance our mean is located. This is known as mean deviation. So if we can take the example here, 20, then 25, then 22, again 23, okay, and another is 25, another 25. Then what will be the average here? If we consider this one, what will be the average? What is the average here? 140, right? Guys?
Yes, sir. 140.
140? 140, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then this, what will be the average? Number of data point is 6. Very simple. So if we divide this with 6 here,
Right.
20,
right? How much it will be?
23.3.
23.3. Okay. Now take the difference here. So deviation means this is our mean position, 23.3. Okay. And this is mean position, and deviation indicates the distance from this mean of each data point. So this is 20. 20 is located somewhere in these points. If we are drawing the curve here, if it is our target 23, then 20 will be somewhere. So we'll have to take the distance from 23 to mean position. Again, we have 25 here, 25 somewhere in this position. So we will have to take the difference. Okay. In this way, then 22 somewhere in this point. Okay. So in this way, we'll have to take the deviation. So this particular case is called deviations, and we are taking the deviations with respect to the mean. That's why it is called mean deviation. Okay. We are taking the deviation with respect to the mean. That's why it is called mean deviation. Are you getting my point? Is that clear? Guys, I'm not getting any response from you. What happened? What happened, guys? Shreya? Manika? Okay. So this is mean deviation. Okay. This deviation can be absolute, or we can take the square also, because once we take the deviation, say for example 1, 2 and 3, so in this case the average is 2. Okay, this is total sum is 6, mean is 2. Now look here, we can observe this one. If we take the deviation here, so 1 minus 2 will be minus 1. Okay, will be minus 1. 2 minus 2 will be 0. And 3 minus 2 will be plus 1. Okay, so in this case, if we take the sum of the deviations here, these are the deviation, basically the difference. Okay, these are deviation, so it will be 0. So to eliminate this particular impact, we can take the absolute value, or we can make it average. So absolute value simply ignore the sign. Okay, so we can, if we take the deviation here, so it will be 1 plus 0 plus 1, so it will be 2. Absolute total deviation is 2. Are you getting my point? Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is that clear what I am trying to say? So to eliminate this impact, we can take the absolute value. Otherwise, we can make it square also. Okay, in both the cases, we have different name. Okay, so now this is the difference. If it is our group data, or population, or sample, whatever it is, so this is our actual data, this is our mean. So we are just simply taking the deviation from the mean. That's why it is called mean deviation. Okay, so if we have this group data, then we'll have to multiply this particular individual deviation with their corresponding frequency. Okay, we will understand the things with an example. And coefficient is mean absolute deviation divided by the arithmetic mean of the entire data set. So these are the different things of mean absolute mean deviation, so we can observe. Okay, so this is an example here. Okay, so if we are going to calculate the mean deviation here, so how we calculate the mean deviation here? First of all, we will have to take the mean of this data. What will be the mean here? 153 plus 147 plus 151 plus 156 plus 153. What will be the sum here? Total sum of this. Are you solving this one? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
What will be the sum? What will be the average and what will be the sum? Okay, so I hope you can solve it.
Sir, sum is 760 and average
Average is
152.
152.
152. Okay, so if we are taking the mean deviation, then what we do here? Very simple. 153 minus 152, right? Which will be 1. Then 147 minus 152. How much it will be?
Minus 5.
5 or minus 5?
Minus
5,
5, sir.
Minus 5. 151 minus 152. How much?
Minus 1.
Minus 1. Good. Then 156 minus 152. How much?
4.
4. And last one is
1.
153 minus 152 is 1. So these are the deviation. Okay, these are the deviation. Now look, if we add them, 1 minus 5 is minus 4, minus 4 plus minus 5, minus 1 is again minus 5, then minus 5 plus 4 is minus 1, minus 1 plus 1 is 0. So if we take the sum, it will be 0. Okay, so to avoid this particular impact, we have to identify the mean deviation, how much it is deviated from the target. So we have two different options. First one is we can take the absolute value. So if we take the absolute value, then we have this one 1, then 5, then again 1, then 4, then again 1, right? So if we take the sum, it will be 12. And we have the 12 data point for 12 data points, 5 data points. That means we can divide with 5, then it will be 5.4, 2.4. Okay, so we can say that mean deviation, this is our total deviations, and we have just taking the mean of the deviation, it will give the mean deviation. This is mean deviation. Now, if we are about to avoid the sign of the sign impact in another way, we can simply take the square. Okay, that means 1 square is 1, 25 square is 2, 5 square is 25, then again 1 square is 1, 4 square is 16, then 1 square is again 1. Look, in this way also we can eliminate the sign impact, make each and every entity as positive, right? Can you do that? Can you do that? Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now look, so in this case, we just taken the absolute value. That's why it is known as mean absolute deviation. Okay. Now we have just taken the average of the deviation and take the sum here. How much it will be? How much the sum will be? 19 plus 25 is
44.
how much? 44, right?
Yes, sir.
This sum is 44. So this is squared sum. We have deviation squared sum. Okay, squared sum. So we have just take the deviation and we make the squared and take the sum. So this is our squared sum. Now if we take the average for this squared sum, that means we have 5 data point. So if we divide this 5 with 5, then we can get the value of 8.8. Okay, so this is the mean squared deviation. Mean squared deviation. This is known as mean squared deviation. This particular thing is another way known as variance. Okay, this mean squared deviation is statistical term is variance. Okay, now we have taken the squared here. So if we take the square root, take out the squared part, then square root. So square root of 8.8. This particular thing is known as mean squared root. Okay, mean deviation squared root 8.8. Okay, so this particular thing is known as standard deviation. So this is indicated by sigma square, and this one will be sigma. In this case, sigma indicates the standard deviation and sigma square is the variance. Mean squared deviation, this is mean squared deviation. This one is known as root mean squared deviation. Okay, so we learn 4 different terms here. First one is when we have the value and we are taking the deviation with respect to mean, this is known as deviation, and we are trying to avoid the symbol impact, then we take the absolute value, okay, and we take the sum and divide this absolute value with n. So this is known as mean absolute deviation. Okay, MAD, mean absolute deviation. Now, if we are taking the symbol and make it square, again we can eliminate the sign effect. That means x minus x square will give a positive value. Now, if we add all the x value, that means, and divide by the number, that means n. So it will be known as mean squared deviation, MSD, mean squared deviation. Okay, now if we take the square root of this particular things, which is otherwise defined as with sigma, is known as variance also. So if we take the square root here, that means sigma will be the square root of mean squared deviation. Okay, square root of mean squared deviation That means this is summation of xi minus x bar, okay, xi minus x bar, this is square divided by n. This is known as root mean square deviation. Otherwise, it is standard deviation. So if our data is in this form, in ungrouped form, then we have this situation. If our data is in group, that means on each and every cases, we will have to multiply the result with their corresponding frequency. That means if we have this group data, we can multiply this result with their frequency. Then again for this we multiply this frequency, and for this also we can multiply this frequency. So for both group data and ungrouped data, we can compute the mean absolute deviations. Now tell me if there is any doubt, anyone. Is there any confusion, anyone?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No one? Okay, let's see the example here. Look, this is our data point. To get the average, what we can do in the group data? To get the average in group data, what we can do? Can you remember? We take the middle value. This is 75, 125. We take the middle value, right? 75, 125, then 175,
225.
225, then
275.
275 and 325. So to get the average, we have to take the middle value first. Then what we have to do here? This is our x value and this is our f value.
Yeah,
So we have-
multiply x into.
Yes, so we'll have to calculate the xf value. So this is 11 multiplied by 75, 23 multiplied by 70. This is some value we get. So after that, what we have to do, you have to take the average. So once we get the average, what we can do, say for example, we can take x bar as our average value here. Okay. Now to get the deviations, what we have to do, 75 minus x. Okay. 75 minus x bar, like this. 75 minus x bar. So this is for only single value. And for this particular case, we have frequency 11. So we'll have to multiply this with 11. Okay. And in this way, we'll have to compute the deviation for each and every entity and take the 11. So take the result. So our formula will be xi minus the mean value here, x bar, and this is for single data point. And if we multiply this, this is for a particular group. Now, if we have multiple groups, that means we will have to take the sum of each and every group and divide them. Obviously, we can make it square or make it absolute value also. If we make it square and divide them with n, that means it will be our variance. So variance for population and variance for sample is different. If it is population, then it will be capital N, total number of entity we have. But if it is our sample, then it will be small n minus 1. So capital N, it will be capital N. If it is our sample, then it will be replaced with small n minus 1. So here, in case of population, it is only n, but in case of sample, it is n minus 1 because there is some partiality or biasness of the result. To avoid the biasness, it is simply put as n minus 1 in case of sample. Okay? Is that clear, guys? Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, if we take the average and divide it, so it will be our mean square deviation. We have just take the deviation and make it squared and take the mean. That's why it is mean squared deviation. And if we take the square root, then mean squared root mean squared deviation. So this mean square deviation is known as variance. This is the mean square deviation for sample, mean square deviation for population, and there is an example you will have to solve it. Okay, and variances for group data also it is there. Just try to solve this one. And if we take the square root, it will be the standard deviation for sample and standard deviation for population. Okay, guys.
Yes.
And last one is we have coefficient of variance. Coefficient of variance is standard deviation by mean. Standard deviation sigma divided by the mean of the data points, that is x bar into 100. It will give the coefficient of variation. Okay. So where we use the variations, coefficient of variation is used to study the consistency wherever there is a comparison between two or more data sets. Example, two companies, Dawson suppliers and Clark distributors deliver construction materials. The following data source. This is the data point. Okay. So in this case, what we have to do, we have to take the mean first. Mean of x and mean of y. We have to compare this one. So how we compare this one? We can simply compute the variances. So in this case, mean is 10. If we take the deviations x minus x, that's 10 minus 1, 11 minus 10 is 1, 10 minus 10 is 0, 9 minus 10 is minus 1, 10 minus 10 is again 0, again minus 2. In this way, we have to take the deviation, right? Are you getting my point? Guys,
Yes,
and
sir.
we'll have to take the
Yes, sir.
square. So we are basically making the mean squared deviation. Okay, so this is the deviation here. If we take the squared, it will be 1, then 0, then again 1, then 0, then 4, then 4, then 0, then 16. Okay, so in total it will be 26. So sum squared error is 26 if we take the sum, and if we divide this with the number 8, then it will be the mean square deviation. It will be mean square deviation. That means 3.25, right? It will be mean square deviation. And for this case also, you can compare the mean square deviations, and the data points for which mean square deviation is less will be more consistent. Okay, deviation जितना कम है उतना अच्छा data है. Okay, clear? And there is a relation between quartile deviation, mean deviation, and all those things. So quartile deviation will be 2/3 of the standard deviation. Quartile deviation will be 5/6 of the mean absolute deviation, and mean absolute deviation is 4/5 of the standard deviation. So these are three different relations. Okay, now tell me if there is any query up to this, guys. We have already discussed the skewness. Okay, let me explain one thing. Skewness is if our the symmetric curve, if the tail on the left side is more longer than the right side. This is left side and this is right side. Then our distribution is known as negatively skewed. If the tail is more longer on right side as compared to left side, it will be negatively skewed. Okay. In either cases, we can observe the rule of thumb. It is there. So if our skewness is in between minus 0.5, that means this is our distribution, minus 0.5 this point and plus 0.5 this point. That means it is symmetrical, fairly symmetrical and less skewed. If the skewness is ranging in between minus 0.5 in this way, minus 0.5 to minus 1, that means it is moderately skewed, and plus 0.5 to plus 1, it is again positively skewed. And highly skewed means if the skewness is beyond minus 1 in this way and beyond plus 1 in this way, then it will be positive skewness. Okay, I'm just taking you 2 more minutes to explain one and more thing. Kurtosis. So till now we have just discussed the dispersion in this way, sideway. Okay, horizontal dispersion, horizontal deviations. Now we have to take the vertical deviations also. In case of vertical deviations, normal curve is considered as the standard one, whose value is 3. Normal curve is considered as standard one, whose value is 3. So standard kurtosis value is 3. Okay. So if the kurtosis value is greater than 3, that means it is known as leptokurtic. If it is less than 3, this curve. Okay. This curve, leptokurtic. If it is less than 3, this curve, that means it is platykurtic, and the standard normal distribution is known as mesokurtic. Okay. Okay, guys. And last part is moment. Moment is the different parts we have measured. First one is mean, variance, skewness, and kurtosis. These are the different moments. Okay, how we calculate the moment here? Moment calculation is, this is the formula, this is our value, and this is random value. Okay, random value multiplied by power r. R indicates 1, 2, 3, 4. If it is 1, that means mean. If it is 2, that means variance. 3, skewness. 4, kurtosis. Okay, so if we take the deviation here with respect to mean, with respect to origin, then it is known as moments with respect to the origin. If it is mean, then moment with respect to the mean, that means center. So in this way you can calculate. Okay, so based on this we can easily compute the skewness and kurtosis also. So this is for up to this today. So I